Well, hello everybody. So Odalip, what's your real name then? Because I just friended you, so I'm getting to know you. It is the hump day. That's it. Heresy rules. Fucking rule. Gregory, Steve, Mark, Miguel, Chris, Ron. What's up, guys? What's up? That's what happens. Let's see, I think we can plug this in. I think we're good. Yeah, what's going on? Hump day, eh? What's that? Two in the pink, one in the stink. It's called your mom. Just going water today. What up, sexy bitches? Good, Stefan. MORTA SKULD, old MORTA SKULD. Trav. Make sure to check out Puncture Wound. Great band. Australia. Ron Jeremy rules. But I can't suck my own dick. That's the only difference. It's the only difference. I think that's the only old footage that was up online or whatever like that. Somebody else has got to have some old MORTA SKULD out there. Ooh, 2012. We can get into that a little bit too. New stuff. Well, who hasn't tried sucking their own dick? Come on. Centenary working on new material. What's up, Rob Mausoleum? It's funny because we just watched the same song from 1990, 91. Same song, 2012. It's probably the same crowd, just 30 years older. So you can obviously tell they're moving a lot more. That's awesome. We can put our hands up in the air. That's about as far as we can do it now. We can just put our hands up. It's the most we can do. I'm trying to get my cardio up, so at least when there is a show, I can at least do a song or two. What up, Lisa? What up, Kat? What's up, Dan? Yeah, if you sneeze, you're gonna put your back out. Sometimes you just gotta go crazy for the bands, right? It was, what was it? The last time that I really went like fucking berserk. It was, so Suffocation played this show, in Toronto, probably about, I think, almost 10 years ago, I think. It was a very poorly drawn show. It wasn't advertised well or anything like that. But, you know, as soon as the first song from Effigy comes on, you know, right away, I'm like, oh shit. See, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it, right? As soon as that fucking riff, dude, I fucking pummeled everybody out there. I just went fucking bananas. And then the song picks up, and then it goes back to the breakdown. Still in there, but then as soon as that song was done, I was at the back. I was like, yeah, I had my cardio for the night. It's pretty good though. It's kind of hard to not feel the fucking breakdown, right? Liege of Inveracity. Like, come on. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I'm wearing a Heresy shirt just because I've been fling the thong. Well, no, I don't wear thongs. I just wear short shorts. So that's about as much as you're gonna get. Who the fuck is this man? Can't put that shit on there. Uh-oh, gotta hurry up and turn that off. No way. Just because I've been on a UK hardcore power violence kind of kick lately, and always been a fan of the shit. Like some Charred Remains. Fucking love these guys. AKA Man is the Bastard. So Eric Wood, man, he crushed with that stuff back then. Some Demise. I was hooked on this stuff. Hell Nation. Shit's good. Oh yeah, more Charred Remains, aka Man is the Bastard. I love this old stuff. The old Charred Remains is amazing. Capitalistic Casualties. Good old Slap-A-Ham Records back in the day. That was the label to go for. No Comment. Come on, Mother's Crime, Mother's Crime. And I ended up buying this Man is the Bastard. Split with Ultimate Noise of Death. And this is when Eric started going just noise. So, I mean, I'm keeping this just because, but it's not something I listen. I don't understand the new noise scene of just making noise. I get it for horror movies and stuff, but yeah. Some Crossed Out. Fucking that shit's always the bomb. And then that's what started me on a lot of bands too. The Slap-A-Ham Records Blah compilation. This is the only one I got. I know there's I think there's another one or two or three or something like that. But this is the one that got me into all the fucking bands, man. This was G-Anx, Demise, Neanderthal, Hell Nation, Nuclear Roach, Extreme Noise Terror, AC, Jesus Crust, Holocaust, Atrocity, Exit 13, Go, Can't Deny, Skeletal Earth, Agathicals, Mouth Fart, Impetigo, Born Against, Infest, Asssuck. Dude, these compilations are fucking just, it's unbelievable. I love the power violence, that UK, that hardcore, that old shit, man. Zabomb. What's up, Jake? Oh, what's up? Slasher Dave. What's going on? Slasher Dave's been doing lots of stuff himself, too, if you haven't kept up with his soundtrack stuff lately. Unbelievable shit. So make sure to go check out Slasher Dave. He's been doing lots of live streams. So that's pretty rad, man. Yeah, the Children of the Underworld. Yeah, man, that's a great tune. Scattered Remnants. You know what? I know of them, but I've never owned any of their stuff. But I did have I think it was the drummer, message me and start talking to me about some old school stories and shit like that. So that's cool. But yeah, man, Scattered Remnants. So yeah, we're here to pretty much chat with Mr. Dave Gregor of good old MORTA SKULD. And ba-bam, there he is.
Hello.
What up, my man?
I'm hanging.
Ha! I hope so. We're men. Sweet. So what's going on down there? Are you still down in the old Wisconsin?
Yes. Now, are you in Canada?
Yeah, Niagara Falls, St. Catharines. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. East Coast, hence our difference. Gotcha. Yes. I'm still in Wisconsin.
So what's going on in Wisconsin?
Not a whole hell of a lot right now, like a lot of states. Just dealing with the lockdown and just trying to get on with life, and all of us, including yourself, all of us, diehard fans, and we're just like, what the fuck? Let's, we want shows, we want to start going out, we want to start playing. I mean, this is probably the longest I think I've ever gone without playing, really. So.
Well, it's the longest I've ever gone without, just like you said, either going to a show or just going to a movie theater or just like a crowd. Like, this is killing me.
Exactly. Well, that's the whole thing is, they who knows? I mean, I really think it's up to the individual. Personally, myself, I don't see a problem with having shows. But I think, the venue's got to protect themselves, and it's kind of like entering at your own risk. If you come here, you're taking a chance. But I personally feel with a lot of the, people like yourself, myself, a lot of the people like-minded like us, the show come, we'd all go.
Holy cow, eh? Yeah, this is killing us. I mean, it was just thrown on us like just out of nowhere. No time to prepare, no time to like, hurry up and go to 100 shows before this was gonna happen or something like that, right? It was just
right, 100, right? Exactly.
Totally, man. So, so this is Dave Gregor from MORTA SKULD, and you guys have been around for quite a long time, haven't you?
Yeah. 80, well, I mean, kind of like 88, 89-ish.
Yeah.
Kind of, I guess, if you wanted to be real official, but we really didn't come out with our first demo until 1990. So. Right.
So, so what was the scene like in Wisconsin there? Or was there?
Well, you know what? No, the scene was amazing. It's kind of like you see, I don't know if you ever watched those, whatever, documentary, whatever. I mean, you look at Metallica from back in the day or Megadeth or whoever from way back in the day, and they're like, oh my God, and they're like, this is so great, and fans everywhere, and that's kind of how it was. I mean, some of the clips you showed, especially that first one, which is pretty old, that one goes back to Sheboygan, which is a small suburb, and
Morbid Saint. Morbid Saint, yes. I was just going to say.
That's right. And, we'd go down there, we'd play with them, and we'd play with, bands like Realm or whoever, and, there'd be like 300 kids, and they would just show up, and they would just go freaking nuts. I mean, we were playing in bowling alleys, and I'm selling like 200 cassette tapes, out the back of my van or car, or, just what, I mean, it's just a crazy time. And when you hear like bands like Metallica, it was a magical time. It really was. I felt like there was magic in the air, because I felt like every band was doing something cool. Nobody really hated on anybody. It was just a very supportive scene.
Yeah, and I totally found that too. And a lot of people and a lot of bands, I mean, everybody had their own character at that time too, right? So there wasn't, like, I wouldn't say there was competition, but like everybody kind of supported each other because you had that sound, and like you said, Morbid Saint had their sound, and and it was such a small, not a small scene, but I mean, with bands and all that kind of stuff, there was a limited amount of bands that was just like, well, if you got a show that's a half hour away, then we'll help you get a show here if you get us a show down in your area, that kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and you have to look at it now too. I mean, there's a lot more bands out there now too, so. There wasn't many bands back then, but I mean, it was an amazing scene. I was like I'm very, very proud to have or be part of that. Like metal was kind of some of these bands had their first demos, and I mean Morbid Angel, like their first album was out when I started like doing this, maybe first, second album. So it was right at that cusp when just all this really cool metal, death metal, thrash, everything was just kind of coming to fruition, and yeah, it was just crazy. Like every band, just everybody, it was just, I can't even really put it into words. It was such a magical time,
So what made you want to start a death metal band?
That's a good question. I came out of the Marines, so I was in the Marines till I think 89 I got out. And I was overseas in Japan, and I was just like, wow, man, I don't know if I want to do this for the rest of my life, or career. I kind of think I want to be a musician, and I've always wanted to be one since I was a young kid. But, I got back, came out of the Marines, got discharged, and then I was like, you know what, I'm going to go to the conservatory. I'm going to start playing. And, there were several key people in my life at that point, too, that were musicians that were very inspirational to me, that helped me get going. I took like one or two classes, like some basic rhythm stuff, and just out the gate, just, hey, who are you? And who are you? And started meeting people. And next thing you know, we formed like a very sloppy, unoriginal SOD type, MOD type band, which was our first band.
Sweet.
And, recorded a really awful demo, learned all the tricks. At that point we were like, oh my God, this is what it's like. I mean, we were so naive. We brought a PA system with us to the studio. That's how naive we were. But, right. So I'm just like, okay. But we're really naive. And of course, over a course of, 6 months to a year, about 89. And, some guys came, some guys left, went. we finally started getting into this newer lineup, and then it just which became the Gory Departure lineup. But really, what it really was it was kind of a therapy for me. What is that Tommy Shaw in that Styx song says, "Why are you such an angry young man? Because your future looks quite bright to me."
Yes.
It was kind of one of those stories where I didn't have much. I didn't have a career. I wasn't a lawyer. I wasn't a doctor. I wasn't going to college. I was a high school graduate. Making $5-6 an hour or whatever it was, and music was just something I felt that really kind of called out to me, and just the aggression. And why I picked death metal was because of the aggression part of it. I felt like even a lot of times when I'm up on stage and we're going through our set, I feel like I'm going through some kind of like therapeutic thing, like, okay, you're getting all the anger out, or you know what I mean? Because let's face it, it's an angry music. It's supposed to be.
Yep. No, totally. I mean, that's why a lot of us are into this style of music, because we need some sort of release, and this is probably the most aggressive release that we can do without actually hurting people.
Exactly, right. And that's the whole key. As long as we're not hurting anybody, we're all good.
Totally. So you guys got together, like you said, 88, 89 is when the lineup started.
89, yeah, and then 90 basically, we did the first demo, Gory Departure with Eric Greif. Some people know him from, Death and Chuck and whomever. He was responsible for a lot of bands here in Wisconsin doing what they did too. So, but yeah, he kind of said, hey, let's do this demo. So we did a demo. 6 months later, we did another demo with him, the Prolong the Agony demo. And then I'd say not long after that, I'll never forget it because it was like 4 a.m. And my bass player's mom's like, hey, you got a phone call, some English guy. I'm like, what? Some English guy? Who the hell's calling me from England? And it was, his name is Johnny. Johnny, he used to run Def Records.
All right.
And Johnny basically was like, hey, he goes, your demo's kind of everywhere over here. You're in all the zines, everything else. We'd really like to pick you up, for a couple albums. And we were like, wow. Hey, I'm down. Let's go. So he signed us. We did Dying Remains, and then after Dying Remains, Peaceville went through a transition where Def Records, I believe, went out of business. So Peaceville decided to buy a few of those bands, and we were fortunate enough to be one of those bands that they bought. And then we fell under the Peaceville moniker. We did As Humanity Fades for them. And then we also did For All Eternity. So we did 3 albums with Peaceville. Our contract came to an end. We had a bunch of demoing stuff that we had done, which would eventually become Surface. And we went in, did 4 songs, started shopping it. Unfortunately, it was kind of a bad time for death metal. Grunge was kind of more in. Yeah. Stuff of that was more happening. Nobody wanted to play double bass anymore. It was like, hey. So we were fortunate enough to release Surface. We did our version of Surface, and then Pavement was like, hey, we want to issue, put out Surface. So we're like, okay, cool. So we did that with Pavement, and then we've done a bunch of tribute albums. We did an Ozzy, a Merciful Fate for that Still Dead Productions in Poland.
Right.
After that, we just kind of did a couple of things. We did the Metal Church song during those sessions because I'm a huge Metal Church fan. And I really was like, dude, I love David Wayne. I'll always be a David Wayne fan. Those are and I know some people might get mad at me, but those are the only records by Metal Church I have with David Wayne. I'm sorry, I have one Ronnie Monroe one, and I actually like that one, but the rest of it, I'm like, no, it's got to have David Wayne.
Do you like the Wayne solos?
Yes.
Right, because I remember when those came out too, and I was like, oh, what's going on here?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that guy was just, man, one of my favorite singers, man. All-time favorites, like top 5.
Right on. Well, that was a quick jump right into the whole career there. All right, interview's over. Hey, thank you. So, let's go back to the to the demo or whatever. Like you said, did you go? You went in there with your PA on that one?
Not in the MORTA SKULD stuff. The one beforehand,
Okay.
the very first band.
All right.
Yeah, we went with our PA, and then of course after that we learned, and with Eric kind of guiding us through, it was kind of like he was holding our hand through the whole process. Especially me, because I had never sang death metal before. It really was. I wasn't supposed to be the singer. We had a singer, and just at that particular time in his career, it just wasn't what we were looking for. So another friend of mine was like, "Hey, why don't you try singing?" And I'm like, "What?" And kind of helped me, write some lyrics and kind of make it more like rhythm based, so I could maybe sing and play at the same time.
Right. But it's like you don't just get a growl just starting out.
No. It did take a while for me to, get to that particular point. And it's funny too, because on the very first two demos, my voice is very like it's. I mean, not that it's not raw in any of the other stuff,
right.
But it's very like it. I had just started singing at that point, so It's not like you're hearing a 30-year-old, 30 years from now, Dave sing. I was literally at that point where those were the first two records or demos I sang on. So yeah, it was very new to me. And I would say the Prolong, the Agony demo was like, I felt like the Great Departure demo was more of a test.
Sure.
And then to warm up for the Prolong, and in the Prolong, I think I kind of came into my own on that demo, in my opinion.
Yeah, those growls are like even on the first demo, man. That's heavy. Like that's low ends.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, that's killer. So Eric, like you said, Eric kind of guide you into the studio and what you should try, and did he help like arrange the music with you and everything?
A little bit, yeah. If there was something he felt, there's a part in off of Great Departure, Preacher Lies, where all the instrumentation drops out and it's just like voices and stuff.
Right.
And what it was is he was really good at that. Like he'd go in the booth and he'd be like, "Hey, I'll tell you what, just hit record," or he had somebody hit record, and he'd go in there and he'd just start babbling nonsense or something, or he'd do these weird voices and stuff. And instead of like using samples like most people do today, he created those samples. And on the intro for Prolong the Agony, the beginning intro, the narrative narrated thing, that's Eric. That's Eric talking. That's him. He just had these ideas where he's like, "Hold on a second. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do a couple things, and then check it out," And so he definitely had a big hand in a lot of the noises and voices, and a lot like I think Jason's mom was on like one track, like that was actually her, but mostly it was like him. And then I think there might even been a couple of parts where we just got the band in there and everybody would just start talking gibberish or whatever, and so he was really good at that time, because that was a very big thing at that time, putting intros in between your music, and he was very, very, very good at that.
Yeah, the mood of the demo, it's dark. It's scary, actually.
Yeah, I still think it stands the test of time today, in my opinion. Like just with sound quality and
yeah. Oh, it was done. It was done awesome. So was that you recorded in Wisconsin?
Yes. Yeah. Let me think here. Or what? Actually, the first demo, Glory Departure, was recorded at Wave Digital in Gurnee, Illinois, which is right over the border from us. There was a real happening studio at the time. A lot of other bands were going up there and recording, so we were like, "Hey, let's go." It was one of the very first full digital studios.
Oh.
And then the second demo we did at Maurer Brothers, which is right here in Milwaukee. So one like kind of over the border, and then one we did at home.
Right.
And then we did a Earache. We did a song for Earache, one song, and that was done at Wave Digital too.
Ah, shit. So Eric, like you said, is a huge part in getting you guys kind of going, and kind of obviously, I'm assuming, molded you on try this and do this and do this, and
oh yeah,
I know a couple people here, and
oh yeah, he was real big because at that time, I was just coming in all this, and he was like, "I'll tell you what," he'd throw books at me to read, which if anybody that knows me or is close to me knows I hate reading books. I'm not a big reader. So he'd throw a book at me, and I remember the first one was the Satanic Bible, and he throws it at me. He's like, "Yeah, you should give that a read." And I said, "Really? For what?" And he goes, "Well, if you're going to write about stuff, you have to know about this and you have to know about that." So okay, so I was reading through it. Not that I'm I'm a Satanist or nothing, but I was reading through it, and I'm like, dude, this is like pretty much the Bible, except for everywhere that the word God is, they just replace with Satan. So I'm like, all right, dude, whatever. So, but no, he would like tell me to keep up on current events. He's like, read the newspapers, pay attention to things that are going on around you, because, he wanted me to write about what I knew about, and I really think like the first demos, that was, it was gore and all that stuff. I mean, what do I know about chopping some dude's head off? I really don't know anything.
Right.
Maybe some people do. I don't. You know what I mean? So that's when I started switching my lyrical content over, like, what do I know? I want to write about what I know. I want to be passionate about, my lyrical content.
Yeah. So, you, like you said, after the 2 demos, you're kind of, like you said, you're like, I got to start, writing stuff that I kind of know myself instead of forcing it. Like, the whole death metal scene's all about, death and gore and horror and everything like that. Obviously, it was to that degree, but not, like you said, you're chopping heads off and you're decapitating and whatever, right?
Right, yeah, right. It wasn't like Cannibal Corpse, we weren't trying to do that because they were already around and obviously made their mark at that point, So, yeah, we really weren't trying to go that route. Even though what became a lot of the Dying Remains lyrics kind of hinted at the gore end, but I kind of masked them really with more of like, Without Sin. I'll just take a track, Without Sin. That was kind of, like I was mad at, I think, a family member or relative or who knows, my ex-wife, somebody. And I'm just, who doesn't have, Without Sin. Well, fuck you, So you read the lyrics, you might not get that. But, I mean, I kind of tried to write more about, like, stuff that was going on in my life, at the time that I'm writing it.
Totally. And then you kind of twist your own words into something that's not so personal, but you can read between the lines.
Right, man, because everybody's like, why didn't you say that? I mean, and I've said this to my bandmates so many times, like, I can write a lyric line and, oh my God, it'll be the coolest line you'll ever want to read or think about, but when you get it to the song, it may not fit the song. Right. It just may not fit syllabalization-wise or pattern-wise. It just doesn't fit. So you're like, man, I love this, and now I got to, like you said, I got to kind of change this or change that to make it fit, So that's a good observation. So would you write riffs first and then lyrics, or does it matter? Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I can't do it the reverse way. I think I tried it once, and I'm like, I'm a traditional. I know. I'm sure there's a few bands that do it that way, and I mean, hey, I look at it this way: whatever works for you. If it works, if you're writing the lyrics first, then the music, more power to you. Me, I just been the reverse guy. It's like, yeah, I got to have the riff. I got to constantly like listen to it, or not only listen to it, but play it. The more times I play a riff, the more I start getting that the lyrical sense and like, oh, I could do this or that, or oh, this could be a cool growl over this. So. No, totally. And I'm the same way too when I write music. It's riffs first, lyrics after. Because, I mean, like you said, you got to figure out how that riff works, and then if you're going to sing it yourself, you got to be like, okay, yeah, like you said, this is a good part to growl. Oh, there we go. Okay, good. Okay, yeah, totally. I get it. Absolutely. Well, yeah, and then you got to figure out too where you're going to take your breath and. There are some guys out there, I'm like, holy, like the lead guy from Origin. I'm like, how does this guy, I've seen him a couple times, I'm like, how does this guy do it? Like, without falling over at the end of the night. Yeah. And we played a show in Chicago, I think it was last year. I think it was a Deicide Origin, I think, must have been. And super, super nice guy, but he's like working the merch table, and I'm like, dude, why are you not falling over at this point? And he just kind of looks at me, smiles, laughs, and I'm like, no, really. Why are you not like having some kind of heart attack or something? I'm like, God, that guy just sings a million miles, and I'm just like such a talented guy, but I can't sing that fast. I have to breathe a little bit, so I got to really plan. I got to pepper my lyric lines in there so I don't fall over. Oh, like you said, Origin. It's just one of those bands, man. I like their studio albums, but it's to see it live. You just stand there and you're in awe the whole time. Like the riffs and like you said, like he doesn't stop growling.
Like he's just.
No, but I mean, even the guy, the drummer too. Like that guy's. Hey, I think he's even filling in for another band that night too, and he's doing like 2 bands. And I'm watching this guy, and he doesn't even look like he's breaking a sweat. I'm like, what is? Oh my God! Yeah, just some very talented individuals out there. That's for sure.
So after the demo, like you said, Peaceville gives you a call 4:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
You wake up and literally your jaw drops because, like you said, there's demos floating around in the UK and.
Right. It was kind of like one of those airhead moments. You're like, dude, we're getting signed. Dude, you know. He's like, God wipes his ass with his contract. I love this guy. Yeah, I was like one of those moments where I'm like, really? You? Yeah. And he's like, hell yeah. So I'm like, yeah. So he sent over the contract. We signed a contract with Def Records, and then and then we at that point I want to say we had pretty much most of the album kind of written, or we're in a process of writing a few more, and then and then at that particular moment we went in to a studio here in Milwaukee, Cornerstone Studios, and we recorded Dying Remains.
Wow. I have, let's see here, if I could take the pen out. It's a little water damaged, but I have one of the original posters.
Oh, hell yeah.
And that's the death metal roster at that time. Yeah. And on there too, what's this? As Humanity Fails without a cover?
Yep, As Humanity Fades.
Fades. Right. And so who did the album art for Dying Remains? That's awesome.
Dying Remains, there was a local guy, Dave Steffen, and we just happened to, it was a buddy of mine, or a buddy, I was a buddy that knew him, and we went over to his house, and he's like, he's really talented, and he showed me the album cover, and I'm like, dude, sold. This is it. So, yeah.
So
never turned back after that one. It was like, that was like a good move on my part, because that's such a great album.
Yeah, totally. So how was it received? Obviously, it did well because they kept you for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, Dying Remains did real well over in Europe. I don't know if it really did like super well here, because at that time, it was kind of like, some labels didn't have U.S. distribution,
right. And
I'm sure Peaceville did at the time, or Def did at the time. I don't know, but I think it was maybe kind of limited. So I'm not sure how it did here in the States, but I know overseas the album did real well. And you can always tell when the album does well, because they're always like, all right, let's go number 2,
Right.
And they're like, oh, okay. We're like, oh, all right, so.
So you guys, so the album comes out, I'm assuming you guys were thrown on tour right away?
No, that's a weird part about this band is this band never toured until like 2017. So
what?
Yeah, we played. Yeah, no, it was weird. It was like we had. Well, I'm going to say this. One of the members, and this is like after knowing the guy for so many years, basically just didn't. He really didn't want to tour and really never mentioned it to us. So, I mean, we do a fair amount of shows in Chicago, a couple here and there in Indiana, but mainly we did stay in Wisconsin. And we had the opportunity at the time with the manager we had, Jack Koshik for Milwaukee Metal Fests.
Oh, nice.
Jack and I were like really good friends, and Jack was like, he would just call me up and be like, hey, what do you think about MORTA SKULD, Cannibal Corpse, Morbid Angel? And I'm like, yeah, what do I got to think about? Let's do it. So, probably like once a month he'd call me. And he'd be like, I got Obituary coming through. What do you think? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So, I mean, we were fortunate enough to play with Obituary, God, probably over half a dozen times. And then Morbid Angel, like just once or twice. And then, I'm trying to think of the other ones, Autopsy once. So, it was awesome for us. And
wow.
The crazy part about this at that time was this: bands didn't have to tour. They, a lot of them did, but a lot of them didn't, and they still were popular,
right,
amongst the fans in the underground, regardless. And we were lucky enough to do that. I mean, we play a lot of these shows at the Rave, which is a local venue in town here that we host the Milwaukee Metal Fests, and a lot of the bigger shows and stuff. And, Jally said, I'd be like, hey, you want to play? And, we play in front of 300 to 500 to 600 people on a pretty regular basis. So that really helped us, kind of start, get jump start and start to get our fans and our base and all that good stuff going. So, yeah, no, we did not tour. I can't even remember. No, I don't remember. I mean, we tried to go on a tour in ’98, and that didn't go too well. So it is what it is. But it came off of Dying Remains, and then the record label's like, let's do another record. So
wow. So obviously you were kind of riding on good album sales.
Yeah, everything was going real well. Excuse me. And then As Humanity Fades came out, and real quick, guys, a real brief story. Some know, some don't. But between Dying Remains and As Humanity Fades, the band broke up. I went on my way, and then the other three guys kind of went their way. They kind of formed like their kind of version, and then I had my version, and I had a full band up and running, so we were playing out live and writing new material. They were like still looking for people, and then basically the guys I was playing with were like, hey man, we want to go back to our band, so they left. And then the other guys over here were like, hey, we can't find anybody to play and sing or just play. So it was one of these weird kind of like you broke up with somebody, and then you're seeing them again for the first time in months. And it was a really ironic thing because it was at Paul from Realm's house. He threw a Halloween party every year, and they had played and they were playing, they were in their basement, and they would perform as well as the party. And that's where I ended up, and our drummer at the time was actually playing for them, and I was like, what the hell's going on here? So it was a little weird, but yeah, we all came back together, and then we went over the songs as far as like they tuned up, so they tuned up to like D standard, like Death. Right. Malevolent, I think maybe 11's E sharp, I don't know. But anyways, they did a standard tuning, and they wanted to sound a little bit more like Malevolent, like more razory, and maybe not so much, because Dire Remains has a very European feel to it, sure, in my opinion. Yep. So As Humanity Fades has more of an American produced, and we just all sat down as a band, and I picked through the songs they had written, and then we wrote one or two together as a band, and then we kind of came together, and then we went into Cornerstone Studios, same place we did Dying Remains at, and then we recorded the As Humanity Fades at that point.
Wow, you were already going through some turmoil at the time.
Yeah, and it's here's the thing, it's really tough. It's tough to keep everybody on the same page, man.
Yeah.
Some guys want to go off and do this, and some guys want to do that, and it's like, well, you got to have some kind of similar visions, at some point.
And everybody was young at the time too, right? So it
Yeah, I was probably mid to late 20s.
Oh shit! Oh, so you're an old fucker.
Yeah, I'm 53.
Oh man.
I know. I tell the fans, you gotta take it easy on me, man. I'm an old man. Okay.
Yeah. What's that, Sonny?
Yeah. Oh, I got plenty of hearing loss. Trust me already. I'm looking online for hearing aids and shit, and hey.
Oh really?
Like, what? That's why it's really weird now in this time where people wear masks. I don't understand the word they say.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I got hearing loss. You gotta, so.
Yeah, I got a friend too. He's just too many shows beside the PA playing and everything like that, to the point where he's literally like, okay, I can't hear you. Okay, what was that again? Hello? Okay.
Right. Well, with me it was a combination of the music, but also in this year I went to the shooting range once with a buddy of mine, and we were shooting off, I don't know, some shotguns and some just some handguns or whatever, and I didn't bring any ear protection. I just had like the little little earbuds in there and put those in, but like, no, I needed the big muffs and all that, and I just remember ever since that blast came across this year, it's like, yeah, I've never been able to hear the same. So,
Oh
but
my.
you know, we live, we learn. Hopefully, one of these days, I can afford some hearing aids that are decent on the market. You know.
Holy shit. So I guess when you're playing live, you're putting monitors in so you could hear easier.
Yeah, well, you know what? When we play live a lot, I don't wear earplugs.
Oh.
Just because of the fact of depending on how big the stage you're on, the music can really be separated. So like I may not hear, and that's the one thing I don't know if a lot of fans know this or not, but like a lot of depending on like I said, the size of the venue and the sound system, sometimes you're on stage and you don't hear the other person at all, like not at all. You know what I mean? I played many of stages for Metal Fest or whatever, and like I can't hear the other guys, and you do sometimes have monitors, sometimes you don't. But I mean, I'm at the point now in my career where I just go like, you know what? I got to know where the hell I am. As long as I can hear Eric playing,
Yeah.
I'm good to go. You know, I just got to trust the other guys are in their spot where they need to be, and I'll be where I need to be, and then you just hope it all works out.
Totally. So you guys ended up recording a shit ton of albums up until like the late 90s, early 2000s, right? Late 90s.
Yeah, 1998 was our last album, and that was the Surface album. Yep.
Right. And then I'm assuming, you go on Metallum, and there's sporadic compilations and stuff like that, but nothing really serious.
Right. Yeah, no, we didn't really do... yeah, like you said, it was just a bunch of, comps and people that, hey, we put a track on, sure, no problem. Honestly, I wanted to continue the band, but it just, at that point, like I said, musically, a lot of guys in town wanted to play, single kick, and, a lot of guys went from playing double bass to single bass, and guys wanted to play more rock and more, grunge and stuff like that, and kind of the death metal. That's why I really have to say this. I applaud the death metal bands that stuck it out during that time.
Yes.
Because that was a really difficult time for a lot of death metal bands. I should say all of them. Yep. And so, yeah, I mean, we looked for people. We auditioned a couple people. We just simply couldn't find anybody. So I decided, I feel like I'm beating my head against the wall here for over a year, and I'm not going anywhere, and, just decided to try something different, and,
Wow.
That's pretty much what I do.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. With just during that whole era, the mid-'90s to at least, like, the late 2000s or whatever like that it was still such an underground scene at that time that anybody who did stick it out, like you said, you applaud them because the audience
Absolutely.
the audience wasn't there like it was, 10 years before that.
Well, album sales went down, ticket sales went down, tours weren't happening as much. I'll be honest with you, that's where I lost touch with a lot of friends that I had come up with in the 90s and the various death metal bands around the world. And that's where I kind of lost touch with a lot of people, unfortunately. Some people didn't like the fact that I was trying something different. Some people couldn't let the MORTA SKULD thing go. And it's just a very weird, it was just a weird time for me. Right.
So did you end up doing another band or something like that?
Yeah, we ended up doing like this project, and it's funny because my drummer Eric and I talk about this, and he's like, dude, can't believe that. Yeah. So it's funny. In '98, we were like, I'm gonna go out here, but we have a summer festival, okay? And it's, they claim it's the world's largest outdoor summer festival. It's got rock bands, Tom Petty and Alice Cooper and all that good stuff. But like death metal, like they were like, huh, and they asked us to play that year. So we played that year, and everything went great, had a blast. Was kind of weird for me because we were playing along bands that would play like for 2 hours. And death metal at that time playing for like 2 hours, that was kind of like, what? Yeah, so we had to put together like an hour and like 40-minute set.
Holy.
And I think we did I think we did a Black Sabbath cover actually, because we were like, I don't know. We wanted to play all our material, but we felt like we should mix it up. So I think we played a Black Sabbath cover and then like something else. I think it was Lord of the or Into the Void. Sorry,
Into the Void.
Right, I just favorite song.
Good too.
So anyway, so so we did that, and then during my transition period, I think it was like 2000 maybe or 2001. Like I said, nobody would like. I was always trying to find another name for this new band, and I couldn't find one. So a lot of people were like, Morta Skuld, and I was like, I'm just going to call it Morta Skuld too. You know, I was real generic about it, and I was like, I'm just going to call it that. So I called it that. We got asked to play again. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. But now the difference is I don't have a 4-piece band. I have a 3-piece band. And so I'm not really doing any solos. It's just a lot of rhythmic stuff. And my current drummer, Eric, he always said, he goes, man, I came to see you, and I was so disappointed, man. He's like, dude, because that was not the Morta Skuld that he grew up with.
Aww.
And all the fans did. And he's right. And he's completely right 100%. It was an experiment. It was a big, big experiment.
Sure. Well, because you wanted to keep going. Because you wanted to keep playing death metal.
Well, you're right. I wanted to, but then, like I said, it was one of those things where, I don't know, it was so hard to do because there weren't a lot of bands doing it.
Right.
You know? And it led me into a transition phase between that, and I look back and I could just punch myself in the face for calling it Morta Skuld, because it really wasn't. It was just kind of a watered down, kind of crappy version of like 3 guys trying to jam, and it just, it didn't work out. But after a bunch of a couple lineup changes, we ended up becoming a band called 9mm Solution, and I guess for lack of better words, kind of more of a new metal style band. I don't know what people classify new metal as these days, but we got classified as it, so that's kind of where where it ended up. Well,
you're just trying shit out, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it was a lot of experimenting. We even did a demo. I think we called it Morta Skuld, and it was totally completely different. I tried to do like some clean vocals, stuff like that. Some just concentrated more on the arrangements of the songs. Try to be a little bit more commercially, I guess, so to speak.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, because you had your run with death metal, like you said, and you just wanted to you just wanted to play and just kind of expand your horizons, whether it be that style of music or anything else, really. Because if you love playing music, you're gonna want to do like almost anything, really.
Absolutely.
Totally. So that little duration of you just kind of doing some other shit or whatever, you ended up kind of getting the band back together in like the late 2000s, early 2010 or something.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird culmination. It was a weird time. Eric Reif had come to me and he had said,
"Oh shit!"
He had said, I really like our demos. I really, really like our demos, and I really want to put those on CD." So I'm like, "All right, cool." He's like, if I rent out a studio, would you go in there and would you, help me out with that? I'm like, sure. So put the demos on a CD, and I said, hey man, I go, by chance, I said, you think this might kind of maybe like we could put this out and like maybe throw some extra tunes on like that we really haven't released, on this? And he was like, wow. And at the time he was still negotiating a lot of Relapse stuff for the Death reissues.
Sure.
And he was lucky enough to get us in to do the Relapse Through the Eyes of Death compilation. And it's basically the first demo, the second demo. Bless you.
Thank you.
And then I think it's got like the Metal Church, and then I think it's got like the song we did for Earache, Eternal Suffering, which kind of led us between the prologue and the agony path into the Dying Remains path. So we put that out, and I think that came out in 2011.
Right.
Eric was really, really awesome and very instrumental in getting that out. Travis Smith, the art, guy that did some of the Death art, he did the cover for us.
Jesus.
And we went in the studio, cleaned up a lot of stuff, just some stuff that people may not just the tape noise and
Sure.
stuff like that.
Yep.
So we really went up, cleaned up a lot of stuff, edited like once or twice. I think we were in the studio off and on like 2 or 3 times throughout like a month period, just going like, yeah, I think we got it. And then when we thought we had it, we go, it could be better. So we just kept kind of, going back and forth. And like I said, it came out on Relapse. And Eric, big hand in that. And then that came out, and then that's when he was like, or I actually suggested, I was like, hey, do you think we should do a video? And he was just like, yeah, and I didn't even have a band at that time. It was just me. And he kept asking me, kept saying, dude, why don't do MORTA SKULD again? And I'm like, I don't have anybody, And he's like, dude, just go and ask the demo lineup and go ask these guys and ask these guys. And I was like, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm like, I don't know, I haven't played death metal in like 8 years or 10 years, whatever it was. I said, I don't know how to do that anymore, I was like, and this is where I've seen some people think that and I've heard this from some people say like, well, he came back to death metal because he got popular again, and it's not true. The real story was Eric kept bugging me and bugging me and bugging me. And I kept telling him, like, dude, stop bugging me. And he was like, and it was funny. And then, like, I think I contacted, like, Jason and a couple of the other guys. And I was like, you guys be in it? Yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, oh, okay, So,
wow.
Started rehearsing songs off of Glory Departure and Prolong the Agony at that time.
Wow, no shit, just like that, eh?
Yeah.
That's hilarious, though. Like you said, everyone kind of had this break and was chilling. Everyone's getting older, just doing their thing, and you just kind of throw the bug in everybody's ear. That all of a sudden everybody's like, yes, and so obviously you're like, holy shit, what do we do now?
Yeah, exactly. You're like, what do I? And it's funny because in the video for Prolong the Agony, I didn't even know how to play the song. I hadn't touched any of the material. And I even said to Eric, well, because now he was working with, I think it's Doug, I can't remember, he's the same guy who did the Control Denied and the Death videos, like Sound of Perseverance.
Oh.
Doug Cook up in Canada.
Oh.
And because that's where Eric's from, too. So he did this video, and he, like, got this guy to dress up and did all this theatrical stuff. And then I went down to some dude's house in Illinois who had a video camera in his basement, Jason Mute, and he basically was like, it was a black painted wall with just like kind of like red blood spatters against it, and he's like, okay, we'll play the song and you just go with it, I'll tape you. I'm like, okay, fine, never did a video before. So, and it was funny, and like he had like this drop down kind of light, and he like smacked it, so we could get that effect. Yeah. And it's funny, in the video, I'm literally just kind of winging it. Like, I don't even know what to do with my hands, my arms, because I'm a guitar player. So I'm usually doing this while I'm singing. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I'm doing a lot of these, and, and I just didn't know what to do. And so it was funny once I saw the actual, and it was funny, the guy gave me the actual footage of me just by myself behind the wall doing all this stuff, and it looks really funny. But when you put it in a video, it's like, oh, okay. Yeah. So he had the video done by his buddy Doug in Canada, and then we threw the video up, and that's where a lot of people like started having more, a little bit more of an interest in us, to see us live again. So
yeah. Wow. So that's hilarious though, that like Eric kept bugging you to the point where it's like, okay, man, I'll do it for you or whatever.
Yeah, at that point, it's like, well, I really thought about it. Like I said, man, the guy's been bugging me for probably a year right now. I said, I got nothing going on. The 9mm thing ran its course. It went away. And that music, of course, went its route too.
Right.
Like other, styles in our past. And I just kind of, like I said, I don't really know if death metal was really even kind of resurged at that point. I just know that we got approached to do a show. I believe you were showing some footage of that one too from 2011.
Yeah.
Maybe 12. But that was with the demo lineup. And we did some really cool, did a couple of shows, and and then that came to a certain point where that lineup was like, hey, a couple of guys were like, yeah, I'm cool. I did a couple reunion shows, if you want to call them, and I'm happy. I'm fine. I'm gonna go home fishing or something like that. All right, so
Yeah. So obviously that sparked interest just in the band itself, with because I mean, like during that time too, 2010 and all that era, death metal was making its comeback slowly in the background, right? People are starting to notice. Yes. People are starting to notice, old school is cool again and all this other stuff, right? But like you said, you weren't you weren't heavily into it at that time, so you didn't really know what was going on. But everybody's starting to talk in the background, and then like you said, the band guys end up leaving, or a couple of them, and so it wasn't too hard to find new members.
Right. And then basically I was back to kind of square one again after the little run of the demo reunion. I was kind of back to square one again. So
right. So you ended up finding more members like right away?
It wasn't right away, but it wasn't like, it wasn't a super long period. I know we had put auditions out. The first thing, because Jason, he was like, hey, I'm still cool, I'll still stay in the band. So it was, so the bass player and myself, and then we got to find a guitar player, we got to find a drummer. And then at that point, we started putting the feelers out, and we started saying, hey, death metal drummer wanted. And then that's where we were fortunate enough to run into Eric House. And it just, everything aligned real well, and we asked him like, hey, you wanna audition? And he's like, dude, been a fan since I was a teenager. And I'm like, wow, that's super cool, and just freaking amazing drummer, dude. And like we met him at a TGI Fridays, and I remember walking in and he's got a beer already, and I said to my bass player, I'm like, dude, I think we're going to be all right. He's already got a beer in his hand. I said, I think we're good to go, So I just remember, I always remember that moment, because I remembered, like, because I'm a big beer drinker. Most that know me, I'm a big beer drinker. So I'm like, so me and Eric got along, like, right away. It was just like, beer, cool, So I just thought it was funny, because the first thing I thought when I walked into TGI Friday, seeing him at the end of the bar, I already got a beer, and I'm kind of like, all right, I think we're gonna be all right.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And that's the thing too. When you get to an older age, you get to a point where it's like you need to have this common bond and thread with, say like your band itself. So if everybody can enjoy a beer together, then I think we're gonna get along a hell of a lot better.
Absolutely. Well, and it helped. He came to the audition and just smoked the audition. So we were just like, it's like, what song you want to play? And he's like, I'll play anything, And we hadn't really known a whole lot of material outside of the demos. So right. He was raring to go. What album? Pick an album, pick a song. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, okay.
Sweet.
I'm not ready yet. But he just came blazing out the gates, man.
Well, because didn't he come from Jungle Rot?
Yeah. I mean, at that time, I think he had been out of Jungle Rot for maybe a little while, maybe a year. I know he left and then came back and then left. So I think he was just at that point in his life where he was like, hey, I'm available to join, a band and kick some ass. And it just so happened we were in need and he was there, and it just really worked out really well for both of us.
Sweet. So obviously you get these new members. They're part of the team now. Do you start putting the feelers out that MORTA SKULD's back? We want to play some shows? We at first we need another guitar player, so we found a guitar player. We started rehearsing a little more intensely, than we were with the demo lineup. And at that point, we started really working on like some Dying Remains tunes, and we were really working on kind of mixing up the set. And it was kind of at that point where we were like, you know what? We've learned a bunch of tunes. Maybe we should write something. Now let's just write something. Let's test the waters. Totally. So and that worked out.
Yeah, absolutely. We were like, hey, let's write a, and it wasn't even a full length either. I know we were like, let's write an EP. Let's write an EP.
What was that one called?
Pardon me?
What was that called?
Serving Two Masters, which was on Dread Records.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Miguel.
Oh, yes. Yeah, right on. Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, no, and it was awesome. He really helped us out because, like I said, we were just kind of coming back into the scene. We had some, we were starting to play gigs. Things were starting to kind of, really coming into full circle. And then we were like, well, let's put this brand new 3 songs, but we'll redo like two of our older songs. So we re-recorded Presumed Dead off of Dire Remains and then Prolong the Agony off Prolong the Agony. Wow. And then we had 3 songs. We married them together for 5 tracks to do an EP, Serving Two Masters on Dread Records.
No shit. So that how many copies of that went out?
I don't know. I think maybe like 100 or maybe 100, 200, something like that.
Oh,
it wasn't
wow.
like a big run.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a huge run, but it was enough to where, maybe it was like 100. But I mean, they sold well, and we started seeing a little bit of resurgence, and we started people getting more interested.
Yep.
And that kind of just, everything just kind of sparked from there after that EP.
Right on. So I'm assuming you obviously had a full-time job and all that other shit at the time.
Yes.
So
yes.
Which now I guess you became Weekend Warriors.
Right. Yeah. The cool thing though, I will say about that particular time in the lineup was we were still traveling. We were still traveling to Indiana and Chicago, and we were starting to really. That was at the point where I think we were really starting to go like, hey, let's just start to play wherever we can play. I think we played a couple gigs in Minnesota. It was like Minnesota, Indiana, just not terribly too far,
yeah.
but excuse me, but it was still outside our state,
yep.
Playing in front of different people, and that's where I think we really started to gain some momentum at that point.
Well, and like you said too, you didn't really play a shit ton of shows back in the day, other than just in your main area. So a lot of people.
I'd say honestly, in a given year, we played maybe 10 shows.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So I mean, and then nowadays, the fact that everybody's starting to hear that MORTA SKULD's around, and you didn't play a shit ton of shows back then, it's like, oh well, this is brand new. If they're coming to my fucking area, like this is the first time for like almost everybody.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly what happened. Once we had a lineup change, and then after the Serving Two Masters, I was fortunate enough to start negotiating with Peaceville for a new record at that point.
Wow.
So we were still playing and all that good stuff in between, but then now, we're like, okay, we're past Serving Two Masters. We've got maybe half an album written at this point. Where are we going? What are we doing? That was kind of
right.
We were in that particular cycle.
So you never really left Peaceville? You just kind of like hiatus?
No, we did leave them. I mean, we definitely were not on their roster.
Okay.
So we did leave. I mean, leave left, or they had us leave. Whatever. Our contract expired basically.
Right.
So we were not on their roster. And what really the interesting thing about what got us back in touch with Peaceville is I had been talking with Peaceville for several years, like probably 5 years before that, and was really wanting them to sign my previous band. And they were kind of like, what are you, freaking high, dude? New metal on a death metal label? What's wrong with you, And I'm like, I don't know, I just wanted to get a record out, So I was working with them, and at that point we had a lot of fans asking us, hey, your first 3 original albums are really, really expensive, to get. Some people were asking $200 and all that good stuff, and I'm like, wow, that's ridiculous. So I approached Peaceville and I said, I'll tell you what, how about we reissue the first album? And they were like, I don't know, and I'm like, no, I'm telling you, there's people out there that want it. They don't want to pay $50 to $100 a pop. So after some arm twisting and this and that, they were like, yeah, let's remaster Dying Remains. And I remastered Dying Remains. They put it out, and that kind of started getting things kind of talking about the other two records being reissued, but then led into a conversation about how about if we do a new record?
Wow. Fucking right, man. So you obviously, the albums come out, well received. Everyone's happy that they can buy the albums again, but not at skyrocketed prices because, I mean,
right.
pretty much anything that came out probably 2000 and under is pretty rare nowadays. I mean, even just like old Cannibal Corpse records, right, on Death Records and stuff. I mean, some of those albums are going for fucking fortunes, right? So nice to get.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I saw. I can't remember whose album was the other day. It was like $3,500 or something like that. I'm like, what the hell, dude? So that's kind of what that was really. That was my idea, was to let's reissue these, let's get them at more reasonable prices.
Yep.
And then people can afford to buy them. And that was kind of really my whole premise.
And it's a whole new generation, too, that are starting to find, the old shit again, right? Because, I mean, during that time, was metalcore, deathcore, all these kids are, trying to be heavy and whatever like that. But a lot of them, started to, with, thank God, the internet, start to find, like, okay, so we're, deathcore and all this kind of shit's not the heaviest stuff, and it wasn't the first. What was, who was growling 20 years ago? So then all of a sudden, everyone's digging into the old shit.
Exactly. I have a correction because I see Miguel on here telling me he said 500 copies. Yeah, 500 copies of the EP, I guess.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
So.
Oh, okay.
Well, unless he's talking about somebody else. Maybe it's not, I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, no, and like you said, it's like, who's still around doing this?
Yep.
And at what level, and now you see some of these new guys and you're like, holy crap, man, like there's just some talented individuals out there, man.
Holy shit, is there ever. And it's funny, too, because, I mean, I say it because, I mean, when I started my first band in 92, I sucked ass, right? By 91, 92, I sucked ass. But then you see some of these new...
I was cringing watching some of the video of that 1990 show, like, oh, God, like, oh, what the hell was I? But you know what? Though? It was that time. I'm sure other band guys that have been doing it for 30, 40 years do the same thing. Like,
totally.
I'm sure Aerosmith probably looks back at their pictures from like 70s or 80s, like, what the hell was I wearing?
Oh yeah, totally. But a lot of kids nowadays, I mean, you got YouTube and everything, and all these teaching tools that they're coming out of the gates already doing sweeps and all this kind of stuff. So,
oh god, yeah,
it's crazy.
They got like 6-year-olds like playing Ingve stuff before they eat their cereal in the morning. It's like, are you serious? Like, and here's the worst part about it is the kid's better than I am. I've been playing for 30 years, and this kid can smoke me, and I'm like, what the hell?
I know, right? It's not fair.
There's that drummer kid. He's like 9 or 10 on YouTube. I don't know his name or nothing, but he plays all the covers, and his dad like helps videotape him and all that. And he's doing like all these like just insane 10 years old, and the kid's drumming the shit like like wow, man. It just amazes me, man. It makes me like, you know what? You guys can play for me, and I'll just stay home.
I'll be the old guy in the back drinking the beer.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
So, Peaceville, getting everything going. You worked on another album came out.
Yeah. So we were, like I said, we were between. We were done with the Serving Two Masters. It came out, was received real well. And then we were in that next phase where we had kind of a half an album written. We had a lineup change. So at that point, you're thinking like, wow, and like not a good time to have this happen. So we looked for a couple of new members, and a friend of mine that had played in MORTA SKULD like kind of off and on for like 2 years near the end of the band, Scott Willicky. He was doing some of his own music, and he wanted me to do some vocals on it, and I said sure. And then I thought, wow, man, this stuff kind of really sounds MORTA SKULD-ish. And I said, what are you doing, man? And he's just like, he had some problems with his hands. I know he had a hand surgery. So he really was, he wasn't sure if he was really going to be able to play, to where we needed. And he just came in, and little by little, he just smoked, and he just started writing songs with us. And we were like, wow, because he was in the band at one point before, so it was a very natural phase for him to come back.
Right.
And then we solidified the lineup with AJ Lewandowski, amazing bass player. He's got his YouTube channel, so that guy's always just he watching him too, like spiders, and like, I don't know how this guy's doing it, I'm like, but anyway, so he joined the band, and then we finished. I think we wrote like 2 or 3, 4 more songs, whatever it was. Wrote it, recorded that with Scott Creekmore and Mercenary Digital in Zion, Illinois.
Oh.
And we recorded that, and then that came out, and Peaceville was just amazing with the press and the just getting us in the zine, the magazines, and just all of that stuff. They were just so awesome to do that. And the album came out and was just really, really well received. And that led us to go. We started getting calls from some festivals. Hey, do you want to play? And we were lucky enough for Evan, that does the Maryland and California Death Fest. He was like, hey, you guys want to do a tour with Scorched and Embalmer? And I'm like, hell yeah! So that was our first tour.
Wow.
Officially, and it went great. Kind of like what you had said. We had people coming up to us like, dude, I've been waiting 30 years to see you play. Just it really, it was a very humbling experience, because I had people like saying like, thank you for coming out and playing. I never would have got to see you if you never would have came through. And it was just very, very humbling to have, whoa, like, okay, and yeah, it was a very, very well planned tour. It went very well. The fans received all the bands. I mean, they're a great package, great bands.
Yep.
And and we just, at that point, we started playing some of the bigger festivals after that.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, that was awesome too, because I got a few friends on here that we ended up going to see you guys play in Buffalo with that tour or whatever.
Yeah.
At the Rockin' Buffalo Salute.
Well, I was surprised we played, to be honest with you, because we had gotten lost, and we ended up near the Canadian border. Because the GPS, for some reason, would take and we heard after the fact, we're like, no, that's the worst way to take.
Right.
We're literally at the border, had to turn around, and then we were like, oh my God, are we gonna make it? So I just remember that show. Hurry up! We pulled up, and the guy was like, you're just in time to play.
Yep.
We set up, sold a couple of things, we packed up and left. Yeah, it was like 1, 2, 3, and and I think you used a little bit of that footage at the beginning of your documentary, and I noticed that, because I was like, because I remember that show. The lighting in that place and the sound were freaking amazing.
Yeah, no, totally, man, and all of us there too were just like, these guys are gonna show up tonight, right? Because we're obviously, like, I mean, like you said, everybody's kind of, anticipating MORTA SKULD to come around. So we were all just kind of like, all right, I want to buy an album. I want to buy a shirt. Where are these guys?
Right.
But the rest of the tour ended up doing really well, though.
Yes. Yep. No, everything was received well. I thought we ended it on a really good note. I met some really cool people along the way that I probably wouldn't have met otherwise. I thought it was a very successful tour. We were trying to do it again, but with everything that happened this year, kind of put a lot of plans on hold. So. Oh,
so there was a plan to start touring this year again.
We were talking about it. Yeah, we were talking about it, and it just that's really as far as it got. But I mean, there's other things. We were fortunate enough. I think it was last year before, we did a short run with Skeletal Remains, and we did a couple of one-offs here and there with them as well, and we did a small run in California. So I mean, we did a couple of really cool things, and a really great reception too. Pretty much throughout California was good. I mean, everywhere was really good. So.
Right on, right on. And you ended up going over to, I think you went to Killtown also?
No, we went to Netherlands.
Okay.
Yeah, we did Netherlands and then the Czech Republic, both in the same year.
Oh, okay. I could have swore I saw you guys on the that Killtown Death Fest there.
This year we are supposedly on it if they still have.
That's right. Okay, so I wasn't losing my mind then.
yeah. But no, Netherlands was one of those shows where it was just like the tour. It was humbling as hell because these people again were like, I've been following you since Dying Remains. I was never allowed, or I never had a chance to see you because I'm over here, you're there, you never came over here.
Yeah.
And it was funny because the whole entire, first 10 years of the band was like, we're going to Europe, and we never went to Europe. So this time when we went there, like I said, it was literally humbling. I'm literally on stage, and I got my back turned to the crowd, and I'm just messing with the amp, and I turn around, and there's just like all these people, and they're like, cheering, and I'm like, wow, this is, oh man, it was freaky, man, and then, we're getting stopped, taking pictures with people and stuff like that, and I mean, it's just a very humbling experience, a very cool and great experience, but a very humbling experience.
Oh, for sure, man. So obviously, you guys, is it like not a full-time band, but pretty close?
Yeah, I mean, it's like anything else. I mean, a few of us do have day jobs. Gotta keep the monkey fed. But I mean, it's not like we're not like on tour every other week. But I mean, I think in our minds we're definitely, we're a full-time band, and we do we for quite the last couple of years we've done a lot of weekend work, weekend warrior work, and we go out and do, Indiana, Michigan, or wherever, or Minnesota, and somehow, we'd always try to go out and make it, a couple shows here, a couple shows there.
Yeah.
So, just trying to stay active because, even if you can't tour, there's no reason why you can't do a couple of cool shows on the weekends. And
honestly,
I mean, right, have a little fun, travel, meet some people you haven't met before.
No, totally. And it's just making up for lost time that you guys didn't do 30 years ago.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny you say that because I think I've been busier the last 3 years than I was the first 10 years.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a lot of stuff to do, a lot of stuff to keep on. This is something I've lived, I've breathed, I've lived it, I've bled for it. I've quit jobs, I've broke up with people, and it's sacrifice, and I live it, and it's been a very awesome experience for me, not only to write the music that we write, but also to get it across to the fans, and then have them respond the way they do.
No, honestly, man, like you said, and everybody else said, man, it's been a long time coming for you guys to be playing more shows and just outside of your area.
Absolutely.
And it feels good, obviously, which in turn is giving you the motivation to be like, all right, we got to start writing some new riffs or writing some new shit or whatever.
Absolutely. Well, it's weird because after the Wounds Deeper Than Time album came out in 2017, we started writing right away.
Oh.
We just started writing, so we were like, hey, let's write a couple of tunes,
Yeah.
So we really kind of started right after that. We wrote a couple of songs, and then I think we got a little too busy at one point, so we kind of had to put that on the back burner, and then when that would lighten up a little bit, we'd start writing again, so it was kind of in little batches. And then I want to say like 2019 was definitely pivotal, because we were you come back after a hiatus, you put out an album, it's well received, and it's like, where do you go from there?
Right.
What do you
more shows?
This next record for us, we knew that this is going to be a very important record, not only for us career-wise, but also for fans.
Right.
So we had started writing, some material, and then we had a lineup change, and our bass player AJ decided he wanted to go back to school and do some other stuff, and we're like, okay. And it was really ironic because he didn't want to tour. You know, he really didn't like, you know what I'm saying? Like he really had a hard job. So he was like, you know, I can't be gone for that long. And we found a guy from Appleton, Scott, actually. He's like, hey, you know, John Hill. And John Hill had actually been filling in for like almost like a year and a half or 2 years before we actually asked him to join. Oh. So AJ had left, and we kind of like, we're like, you know what? John is freaking awesome. John is awesome, dude. He you know, we all get along with him, and he loves to travel, and he just, you know, he's a great player. It was just, you know, it was like, okay, this is, you know, no brainer. So, you know, we asked him to join, and I think he's like officially been in the band like about a year. So
sweet.
Yeah. So when he came in, we had a bunch of songs written, and then I'd say last year we probably wrote at least 2 or 3 songs last year to wrap up the album.
I know.
So basically, beginning of this year, like right in January, we were like, okay, cool. We got the record, we got the songs done. Let's move forward. So that's when I started. You know, so at this point it was myself, Eric House on drums, Scott Willicke on guitar. So still same 3 guys from Moons, and then we had John Hill on bass now. So he came in and just like I said, great guy, fits real well in the band. And we were like, hey, let's move on, let's record this record. And then that's when we started talking to Peaceville about this next record that we recently finished.
Killer. So the band's fucking just a load of fun right now then.
Oh yeah. It's it's the that's the only part. I know the part. I don't know what other musicians, but like for me, the fun part is the creation part.
Right.
It's all the other stuff that's like, now we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do this. So it's all part of the job, you know. It's all part of, you know, I know what I signed up for. So
totally.
It you know, it can get a little stressful sometimes, you know, especially when you know, you're trying to talk to somebody and you're trying to explain something and they're over the pond, and you know what I mean. You know, you're like just trying to go back and forth, and you know. So, but it is what it is, and like I said, you know, Peaceville really. I mean, you know, I'm so close to this, and I sometimes I'm like, I see guys, band members like, dude, this new album's gonna be brutal. You know, you're gonna fucking love it. And you know, all I'm gonna say about it is, I'm very happy with it, and I'm hoping everybody else is.
Yeah. And
it's definitely a little different than the last record, and the word. And not for me, like I said, I'm too close to it. But when John first came in the band, I asked him, I said, hey man, what do you think about these new songs? And he just had one word, he goes, aggressive. And that's all he said. And I was like, I like that word. Cool. I'm going to use that because, well, you know what I mean? Because he's kind of coming from the outside in.
Yep.
And, you know, at that point, and I'm like, I don't really know when people are asking me, well, what do you think about your new record? And I'm like, well, I could say it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but you know, Johnny Schmuckatelli could think it sucks, you know, and
totally.
You know, wants to piss on it or something. I don't know, you know. So everybody's got their own, you know, everybody's got their own thing. But I mean, I'm very, very proud of it. Not that I wasn't proud of the last record. I'm very proud of that record too. But this one, even more so. I feel like we really, you know, Eric and Scott and I and John, we have a good chemistry, and I like to think we harnessed it, and we just went in there, and the whole goal in mind was to sound like MORTA SKULD. The whole goal in mind was to sound somewhat like we do live. Right. You know, we want to sound human. We want to sound like, you know, so when you come and see us, you're like, oh, that guitar sound does not sound right, you know, and it's like, no, we used our own amps, and you know, we just really wanted to stay true to sounding like MORTA SKULD.
Sweet. Well, then that's what we get to expect as soon as all this bullshit is fucking lifted.
Yep.
And we can get back to our regular scheduled program. and get these guys out to play some more shows. I'm assuming there is stuff planned in obviously near the end of the year.
Yeah, this is what we have planned. I don't know if it's going to happen.
Yeah.
We'll see. But right now, tentatively, since last year, I've been working on this for quite a while. Was a European tour. I think it's like 2 weeks, and it starts with Killtown Fest, and then ends up with the Porta Death Fest or the Portugal Death Fest.
Oh yeah.
And then there was one other fest in there too. I can't think of the name of it now, but yeah, there were like a couple fests and then like some clubs. So that was scheduled for September. So yeah, it might be cutting close, but September. I'm with you on that too. Oh, I gotta get both of them. Right. and then a month later, excuse me, in October, we have a 2-week US tour, and we're still, I got a call from the agent. He has said, hey, I'm just starting to talk to clubs again. We don't know who's going to be open, who's not. We don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. So right now, it's still kind of on hold. And I know that the European tour thing, I know they don't want to cancel until it's like probably the 11th hour,
Yep.
Because I'm still hoping, I'm still hopeful that some of this is going to blow over and that maybe mid-summer, maybe mid to end summer, we start getting back to shows and fests and stuff again, hopefully. At least that's my opinion.
Totally. And I hope a lot of the borders and the passports and all that aren't as tricky with what happened, because I'm starting to read some stories and some news that I think the UK was starting to get a little stingy about giving passports to outside bands and stuff like that. So
yeah, well, from what I heard, and I just read this the other day too, again, to back it up, is that the UK, in starting this next year, even if you're visiting, or I think it's even if you're visiting, or playing, you have to have a visa.
Right. Wow.
So it's like, what? It's like, are you serious, dude? So now we got to go through the headache of that, and we can't play. You can't just. Yeah. So I mean, it's getting crazy, dude.
Yeah. Honestly,
it is.
Yeah, it's not fair because, I mean, like you said, like we talked about, all this shit was just thrown at us out of nowhere, and then to have to replan and reconfigure the way, like, you're trying to tour or even just trying to visit. I mean, that's a huge wrench in the machine now. Like, what the hell?
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
Huge. I mean, and it's, I don't feel so bad for, like, our band as much as I do for, like, the bands out there that tour for a living.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Those bands are really just getting hit hard. I mean, in some way, it's hitting us all hard.
Yep.
Regardless, just in different ways.
Yep.
And, just to see bands, like, and then I've even heard through the grapevine that some bands are not wanting to tour now until next year because they're afraid.
Right.
They're afraid to come out. They're afraid to be around people and fans. And I'm not. I say bring it on. I need to get the fuck out of my house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, the only place I really have a choice to go to is like, Menards, which is like a Lowe's,
okay.
or a Walmart.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we are a food store. Because they had little signs up at the one food store because they noticed people were coming in, and they were just like walking around the store like they didn't even need them. They were just walking around just to get out of the house.
Yeah.
And they were asked to leave. They were like, well, if you don't have any business here, you need to leave. So
right.
it is weird, but yeah, we're all pent up, and I really think we need some shows, we need some bands, and just from some of the things I'm seeing on YouTube, there are some, like I think Creator's got a new one coming out, and so they're I think this year, once the plants get back up and running, I mean, I think it's gonna be a shitstorm. I think there's gonna be so many albums coming out, and I'm looking forward to it because I think everybody's gonna just stomp.
Yep.
It's just you got a lot of angry musicians out there, and
yep, I said that exactly.
Yep,
I said that exactly. There's gonna be. I'm surprised the punk community isn't just gonna go back to what it was back in the '80s when Reagan was a fucking asshole, right?
Basement shows and stuff like that.
Yeah, man.
Exactly, dude.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think I think stuff's gonna get a little underground for a bit just to get out.
Right. Well, I know you had my buddy Mike Bradley was on not long ago, and I know we got a show planned in July with his band and
Right.
a couple other bands, Cardiac Arrest and Mutilatred, and like we're like I know like he sent the group message and everybody's talking and this and that. And it's almost like to that point where I really think if worst comes to worst, I think we're gonna be playing in front of somebody in somebody's garage or somebody's basement or something, And,
Yep.
I mean, I never really did a whole lot of those, but I would go to a lot of them.
For sure.
And it's super cool. It's super cool because there's really no rules, no nothing. It's just you mano a mano with the fan, with other people, friends, whatever. And it's like a band rehearsal. And everybody's drinking beer and having fun.
Yeah, I think it's going to get to that for a bit too. Everyone's going to start partying in the forest again, trying to hide from the cops, doing all that kind of shit, right?
Hell yeah.
It's totally going to happen. So it might get fun again. Who knows, right?
It might. Put a half barrel in the weeds.
Yeah, exactly.
It was funny when I was a teenager. My buddy and I used to do that. There's a park real close to our house, and I don't know who arranged it. Didn't ask, didn't care. But somebody managed to drop a barrel off in the middle of the woods, and you'd always have the guy waiting there to handle the money.
Sure.
Hey man, that's gonna be that's gonna be $3 or whatever it is for your cup. And I remember my buddy and I would always go like, yeah, we're not feeling too good tonight, so we'll just give you like $2, and then we'd sit by that barrel all fucking night and we drain the shit out of it. So those are probably some of the funnest times of my life. So
yep, I guarantee that's going to happen again because man, we need to get out. Yeah. We need to start hanging out with our friends. We need to get that aggression out and just hearing loud live music. That's what I miss the most, man. Right. Like I'm like as much as I can crank my stereo and have a couple beers by myself. When you're with your 10 buddies and listening to a band and just fucking like that's it, man. You just need that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, when we in high school, we did a lot of that when I was in high school. We'd go over to Buddy's house, and his dad had a really killer basement and all that. And I was lucky enough to when I turned 18, I could drink beer. Right. So we'd be drinking. We're listening to Judas Priest, and we're listening to Accept, and we're cranking up balls to the wall, and we're like drinking Hacker Shores, and that was something I did on a regular basis for probably years. It was just hang out with like one or two dudes, drank a shitload of beer, and just spun record after record. You know what I mean? And those are like some of the funnest times.
Yeah, man. No, I do that to this day, man. It's either my house or a couple other buddies' houses where we all bring records and CDs and tapes, and it's like, all right, here's my alcohol, there's your alcohol. Let's put all the records in one pile and let's just fucking listen.
Sure. Sounds like a good time.
Totally is, man. All right, well, what else? You got anything else to add? More to Skuld? Anything? You're gonna kind of.
I would have to say, if anybody is interested in buying any of the reissues, they are still all available.
Oh,
and you
sweet.
can go to, I think it's called theburningshed.com. And you can get all Peaceful's other releases too. I think, so that's where you can find our reissues and the new records. Or Dread Records. I think he might still have some older reissue vinyls available as well. Otherwise than that, I thank you for taking the time out to talk to me today. I really appreciate that. It's guys like you that help guys like me do what I do, kudos to you, man. I mean, it's really cool. I like what you do. I dig it. Not a lot of people out there doing what you do. So
thanks, man. And I mean. This is just something that I've I did radio in the 90s. I did zines back in the old days too and everything like that. I just love helping and just being a part somehow because I mean we have a common interest. So why not, if you give me awesome music, I'm going to try to support and tell everybody about this fucking awesome music, man. It's a two-way street, dude. And now with all this bullshit and this technology we have now, we kind of have this ability to kind of do this at home and talk to everybody that, we wouldn't have been able to do just on a regular basis. Because, I mean, I'm stuck at home. A lot of people are stuck at home. So...
Absolutely. I know. It's really weird. It seems like it's either... this whole thing, it's either motivating people or it's unmotivating. It's like one of the two, because I know the first month and a half, I'm like, why do I not want to play my guitar right now? Like,
Right.
I should be playing all day. I should be playing every day. I should be, I should be stuck to the thing. And
Yep.
I walked past it. I just, I kind of like a lot of people, you get a little bit depressed, and,
course.
you start getting a little fearful or scared or whatever. And, I just literally did not play, but I'd see other people do the opposite. It made them play, and they're doing all these videos, and then I was thinking about doing a video, and I'm like, there's so many other people doing it. I just might be like a Sally Come Lately or something, so I just decided not to, but...
Whatever, just do it anyways.
All right, yeah, maybe I will. I'll do maybe a run through of one of the older songs or something.
Well, that's just it, yeah. Just do playthroughs of some old school shit, man. Because, I mean, people are dying to see what MORTA SKULD's all about, man. You didn't play shows back in the day. It's time to... Let's
Right.
do it all now.
Absolutely, yeah. And another thing I want to, say thanks to all the fans, too, man. I mean... honestly, I can't say it enough. Without without you and fans, I wouldn't be sitting here. So, I mean,
Totally.
I appreciate everybody's support no matter what level it is. Like I said, we're all in this together. We're all one big family.
Yep.
And, hopefully we'll all get to see each other soon and rage on very soon.
Fucking A, man. Fucking A. Keep those fingers crossed, everybody. Right on, Dave. Well, thank you very much. And, yeah, let's stay connected and like you said, hopefully we can run into each other again and have a couple beers.
I'm down with that, Cam. I appreciate it.
Fucking A, bro. All right, bro. We'll talk to you later.
All right, kick ass, man.
Ciao. Yeah. Good times, man. Good times. That's awesome too. That was actually their first tour. That's hilarious. Yeah, they came to Buffalo with Embalmer and Scorched. That was fantastic to see that tour. And I know a bunch of my friends that are watching this right now. We were at that show also. So that was it's almost a rarity because it was the first time ever coming around. That's fucking cool as shit. All right, so that's it, eh? Let's burp. Fucking A, man. That was a good one, man. So tomorrow, like everybody knows, Mr. John McEntee from Incantation is going to be joining us, and we're going to try to talk about albums specifically, because we've sat down with John numerous times for the documentary. We've got some crazy past old school stories and all that kind of stuff from his the beginnings and shit. So I don't want to touch too much on what John has already talked about for the documentary. So you're gonna have to obviously wait for the movie, because he's got some pretty cool gems, gem of stories to talk about. So I want to try to get into albums specifically, right? So let's see what happens tomorrow. But yeah, so tomorrow, John McEntee, Incantation. Good friend of ours and a good friend of everybody else, because with a lot of the stories and people that we've chatted with, John's name keeps coming up all the time. So, he's hardcore, man. He's been there, he's done that, and he's never lost the fire. Just like in the trailer, if you haven't seen our trailer, the Growl trailer on there, he didn't lose the fire like everybody else did. He just wanted to keep going, because fucking death metal is life, and you just can't stop. So thank you very much. And yeah. Oh shit. Oh yeah. No, I'll do it tomorrow. So yeah, thank you very much, everybody, and rock and roll hump day. Keep it real, peeps.